You know, it's a funny thing about the internet. Have you ever noticed that the absolute fastest way to get an answer isn't actually to ask a question? No, it's to post the wrong answer. It sounds completely backward, I know, but this weird, almost mischievous principle has a name. It's called Cunningham's Law, and honestly, it explains so much about how we all behave online.
All right, picture this. You've got a burning question, something you really need to know. So what do? You hop on a forum or social media and you ask. That's the common sense approach, right? You just ask. But what if I told you that's probably the slowest, least effective way to get the information you're looking for? And here's the paradox right in front of you. You ask a nice, polite question, and you might get crickets. You'll just be sitting there waiting for some kind soul to wander by. But you post a confidently, totally wrong answer? Oh, get ready. The corrections will come flooding in, sometimes in minutes. It makes zero logical sense, but man, it works almost every single time.
So, yeah, this isn't just some random internet quirk. It actually has a name and a pretty fascinating story behind it. We can call it the wrong answer trick.
And here it is, the law itself, Cunningham's Law. It's attributed to a guy named Ward Cunningham. And get this, he's the inventor of the wiki. You know, the technology that powers Wikipedia. The law is just beautifully simple. The best way to get the right answer on the internet is not to ask a question. It is to post the wrong answer. So the big question is, why? Why on earth does this bizarre trick work so incredibly well? Well, the secret to its power isn't really about technology at all. It's not in the algorithms or the code. Nope. It's deep inside our own heads. It all boils down to this one super powerful and totally universal psychological impulse, the urge to correct. See, when you just ask a question, what are you doing? You're basically appealing to someone's generosity. You're hoping a stranger will volunteer their time and their knowledge just out of the goodness of their heart. And hey, people can be generous, for sure. But it's just not the strongest motivator out there. But posting a wrong answer, oh, that's different. That taps into something much, much stronger. Something almost primal, you know? It's practically irresistible. It's like it flips a switch in a totally different part of our brain. And here's what it is. It's that irresistible urge to correct someone who is mistaken. It's that little itch you feel, that voice in your head that just screams, actually, right? Most of us can scroll right past a question we don't need the answer to. But seeing a blatant error just sitting there, it's like a siren call for our brain. We just can't help ourselves. We have to jump in. And let's be honest with ourselves for a second. This impulse, it's not always about just being helpful. A lot of the time, our motivation to correct someone is tied directly to our ego. It's a chance to flex a little, you know, to show off our own knowledge, to prove how smart we are. Cunningham's Law works so well, not because people are inherently noble, but because they're human. Okay, but this whole psychological quirk isn't just for, winning arguments in a comment section. When you use it on purpose, it can actually be a really powerful and surprisingly constructive tool. I mean, think about it in the real world. A teacher who wants to get a quiet classroom talking might throw out a deliberately wrong fact. Boom, instant discussion. Or in a business meeting, instead of staring at a blank whiteboard asking for ideas, a smart manager might put up a kind of flawed proposal. Why? Because it's way, way easier for people to criticize and improve something that's already there than to create something from absolute scratch. A rough draft, even when with a few mistakes, will always get you more feedback than a blank page ever will.
But like pretty much any powerful tool, Cunningham's Law definitely has a shadow side. In our modern attention economy, this urge to correct, well, it can be weaponized.
On social media, it's all about one thing, engagement. And you know what drives engagement better than almost anything? Outrage. Content creators and even the platforms themselves have figured this out. Posting something misleading or just flat out wrong is a surefire way to get a ton of clicks, comments, and shares. Those arguments, those corrections, that is the engagement they're looking for. And this is where things get really murky, right? It becomes almost impossible to tell if someone made a genuine mistake or if they're deliberately posting engagement bait just to get a reaction. Cunningham's Law explains the how, the mechanism, but it doesn't tell you anything about the why, the person's intent. All right, but let's not end on a downer. Let's look at the biggest, most successful, and probably most positive application of Cunningham's Law in the history of the internet. We're talking about Wikipedia's secret sauce. So remember how Ward Cunningham, the guy the law is named after, invented the wiki? Well, that's no coincidence. Wikipedia's entire model is built on this very principle. The whole system is designed to harness our collective urge to fix mistakes. An error gets introduced to a page, doesn't matter if it's an accident or vandalism, and almost instantly, someone out there sees it and feels that itch, that need to correct it. The whole website basically functions like a giant self-healing organism, and it's all powered by Cunningham's law.
So, if you're going to remember just one thing from all this, let it be this simple idea. Wrong answers provoke corrections. They don't just sit there quietly. They actively demand a response. And this huge difference between asking a question and posting a mistake is one of the fundamental things that drives how knowledge gets shared and improved online.
It's a pretty powerful concept when you think about it, right? It helps explain why something like Wikipedia can even exist, why outrage spreads like wildfire on social media, and even how you can get better, faster feedback on your own work. So the final question really isn't for me. It's for you. Now that you know this little secret about human psychology, how are you going to use it?